Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening. May the grace of God be with you all. Today, we are going to continue the Bible study with the book of Leviticus 16, chapter 16, and we're going to read on until maybe the end, maybe 20. So, the last time we learned about infection control and God predicting and telling us about sexual transmitted diseases. And now we are going to continue in Leviticus 16. We're going to read on. Jehovah spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's two sons who died for approaching him. If we remember the day that Jehovah come down, his two sons who were supposed to be priests went with incense and did something that were not permissible and they died. So Jehovah talked to Moses and say to Aaron, Jehovah said to Moses, tell Aaron your brother that he may not come at just any time into the holy place inside the curtain in front of the cover on the ark so that he may not die. For I will appear over the cover in a cloud. This is what Aaron should bring when he comes in into the holy place. A young bull for a sin offering. He should put on a holy linen robe, and the linen shorts should cover his body. And he should wrap himself with a linen sash, and his head with the linen turban. They are holy garments. He will bathe himself in water and put them on. He should take from the assembly of the Israelites two young male goats for a sin offering, and one ram for a burnt offering. Aaron must then present the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and he will make atonement in behalf of himself and his household. He will then take the two goats and make them stand before Jehovah at the entrance of the tent of Moses. Hello. And we are in the Leviticus 16. Um, Aaron will draw lots over the two goats, the one lot for Jehovah and the other lot for Israel, one of the sons. Aaron will present the goat that was designated by Lot for Jehovah and make it a sin offering. But the goat designated by Lot for Azazel should be brought alive to stand before Jehovah in order to perform the atonement upon it, so that it may be sent away for Azazel into the wilderness. Aaron will present the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement on behalf of himself and his house afterward. He will slaughter the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself. He will then take the fire holder full of burning coal from the altar before Jehovah, and 2 handfuls of fine perfume incenses, and he will bring them inside the curtain. He will also put the incense on the fire before Jehovah, and the cloud of the incense will envelop the ark cover, which is on the testimony, so that he may not die. He will take some of the bull blood and spatter it with his finger in front of the cover on the east side, and he will spatter some of the blood with his finger 7 times before the cover. He will then slaughter the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, and bring its blood inside the curtain, and do with its blood the same as he did with the blood for the bull. He has to spatter it toward the cover and before the cover. He must make atonement for the holy place concerning the act of uncleanness of the Israelites and concerning the transgressions in their sins. And that is what he should do for the tent of meeting, which is located among them in the midst of their acts of uncleanness. No other man should be in the tent of meeting from the time he goes in to make atonement in the holy place until he comes out. He will make atonement on behalf of himself and his house and in behalf of the entire congregation of Israel. He will then come out to the altar, which is before Jehovah, and make atonement for it. And he will take some of the bull blood and some of the goat blood and put it on the horn of the altar on all sides. He will also spatter some of the seventh time and cleanse it and sanctify it from the acts of uncleanness of the Israelites. Then he has finished making atonement for the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar. He will also present a live goat. Aaron will lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the errors of the Israelites and all their transgression and all their sins. And he will put them on the head of the goat and send it away into the wilderness by the hand of men designated to do this. The goat will carry upon itself all their errors into a desert land, and he will send the goat away into the wilderness. Aaron will then enter into the tent of meeting and take off the linen garment that he put on when he went into the holy place, and he will lay them down there. He must bathe himself in water in the holy place and put on his garment, and then he will come out and offer up his burnt offering and the people's burnt offering and make atonement on his own behalf and on behalf of the people. He will make the fat of the sin offering smoke on the altar. The man who sends away the goat for Azazel should wash his garment and bathe himself in water, and after that he may come into the camp. And the bull of sin offering and the goat of sin offering, whose blood was brought into the holy place to make atonement, will be taken outside the camp, and their skin and their flesh and their dogs will be burnt in the fire. The one who burns them should wash his garment and bathe himself in water, and after that he may come into the camp. It will serve as a lasting statute for you. In the seventh month, you should afflict yourself, and you must not do any work. Whether a native or a foreigner who resides among you, on this day atonement will be made for you to declare you clean. You will be clean from all your sin before Jehovah. Hmm. People had to work for 7 months and then take a rest. How lovely. Whether a native, so on this day of atonement will be made for you to declare you clean. You will be clean before Jehovah. It is a Sabbath for complete rest for you, and you should afflict yourself. It is a lasting statute. The priest who is anointed and installed to serve as priest in place of his father will make atonement and put the linen garment, the holy garment, and he will make atonement for the holy sanctuary, the tent of meeting, and the altar. And he will make atonement for the priest and for all the people of the congregation. This will serve as a lasting statute for you to make atonement for the Israelites concerning all their sin over each year. So he did just as Jehovah has commanded Moses. Jehovah went on to say to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and all the Israelites and say to them, this is what Jehovah has commanded. If any man of the house of Israel slaughters a bull or a young ram or a goat in the camp, or if he slaughters it outside the camp, instead of bringing it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to present it as an offering to Jehovah before the tabernacle of Jehovah, blood guilt will be counted to that man. They should not kill the goat on their own. He has shed blood, and that man must be cut off from among his people. This is so that the Israelites will bring the sacrifice, which they now sacrifice in the open field to Jehovah, to the entrance of the tent of meeting of the priests. They are to sacrifice these as communion sacrifices to Jehovah. So the sacrifices were made and they were supposed to be brought inside the tent, not to be killed beforehand. Otherwise, they were going to be seen as if that person killed the animal for no reason. So they were supposed to bring the bull inside the ram, whatever the animal they have, inside the tent and give it to Aaron, who would then pray with them, put their hands on the goat, transfer their sins to the goat, and do what they were supposed to do. No one were to kill the animal without bringing it in as a sign of sacrifice. And the priest will sprinkle the blood on Jehovah's altar and the entrance of the tent of meeting, and make the fat smoke as pleasing aroma to Jehovah. So they should no longer offer sacrifice to the goat-like demon, with which they are prostituting themselves. This will serve as a lasting statute for you throughout your generations. So when they were back in Egypt, they were serving the god of Egypt, which was a bull goat-like, a bull, a giant cow. That's what they used to pray to. So God tell them they don't have to do those things anymore. This is what I tell them to do, and they can keep this from generation to generation. You should say to them, any man of the house of Israel, or any foreigner who is residing in your midst, who offer up a burnt offering or sacrifice, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to offer it to Jehovah, must be cut off from his people. If any man of the house of Israel, or any foreigner who is residing in your midst, eats any sort of blood, listen to this, I will certainly set my face against the one who is eating the blood, and I will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I myself has given it on the altar for you to make atonement for yourself, because it is the blood that make atonements by means of the life in it. This part right here, I think we all need to pay attention to it, listen to it. It's Leviticus 17 verse 11, when we are asking about the soul, where your life reside, where your life is. Jehovah is telling us in Leviticus 17, the animal's life, give one life to another. As you transfer your sin to the goat, okay, you are going to make that sacrifice. And the sacrifice is giving the life of the goat for your sin. And the life of the goat is from the goat's blood. Okay? For Jehovah says, for the life. Before that, he says, no one should eat blood. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I myself, Jehovah, has given it on the altar for you to take atonement for yourself, because it is the blood that make atonements by means of the life in it. So now you see how when those things no longer exist, the reason why Jesus Christ has to come, die on the cross, shed his own blood to save your life. Because in his life, he gave, for he is God himself. He gave his life for you. For within his blood, the ultimate sacrifice, which replaced all these things we've been reading about in Exodus and Leviticus. All the sacrifices people had to make, the animals that had to be burned, the animal that had to die. So now, to replace this covenant, to replace this atonement, for to wash your sin, God sent Jesus for the life of Jesus, which is God Himself, who is holy. He's given for us on the cross. All right. You see, for the blood of Christ, the blood of the animal who represents the animal's blood given in exchange of yours is the same thing as Christ dying for you on the cross with his blood spilling for you. So it's right there in the Bible. If you're asking yourself, there it is. Now let's continue with verse 12. That is why I said to the Israelites, none of you should eat blood, and no foreigner who is residing in your midst should eat blood. I had to say I used to eat blood. When they killed animal, they said, this is why I love the fact that I'm reading these things on my own. Then I get to learn things that I was supposed to stay away from. So God comes in. So let's keep on going. If one of the Israelite or some foreigner who is residing in your midst is hunting and catches a wild animal or a bird that may be eaten, he must pour out his blood and cover it with dust. For the life of every sort of flesh is its blood, because life is in it. For the life of every sort, for the life of every sort of flesh is its blood, because the life is in it. Are we following, people? For the life of every sort of flesh is his blood. Are you flesh? I'm flesh. You are flesh. I am flesh. I'm human. The bird has flesh. His life is in his blood, meaning your life is in your blood. All right? So this is the thing of the soul. Your life is your blood. Consequently, I said to the Israelites, you must not eat the blood of any sort of flesh, because the life of every sort of flesh is his blood. Mhm. Anyone eating it will be cut off. If anyone, whether a native or a foreigner, eat an animal found dead, or one torn by a wild animal, he must then wash his garment and bathe in water and be unclean until the evening. Then he will be clean. But if he does not wash them and does not bathe himself, he will answer for his error. Don't touch that animal that you just find in the wilderness. Now, Leviticus 18. Teachings. Those are teachings for us. Leviticus 18. Jehovah continued to speak to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am Jehovah your God. You must not behave as they do in the land of Egypt. All right? You must not behave as people, and your behavior matters to God. Where you were dwelling, and you must not do what they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Now, isn't that a circle? Listen to this. You must not behave as they do in the land of Egypt, where you were dwelling, and you must not do what they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. So now God is that this God that says, hey, I don't stay away anyhow. This is my world. I don't want you to behave like those people, but I'm bringing you there. All right. So I am bringing you there. This is a land that he promised them. Right. He's going to take away the Canaan, because the people who were living in Canaan, all right, they were behaving very grossly. Prostitution, the type of life they were living was so detestable to the eyes of God. God hated them. So he said, I'm bringing you there to take over, because they are no longer pleasing to my eyesight. And I am going to bring you there. You are not to behave and cloning yourself with them, you are to be light and separate yourself. And now this is a very displeasing things that's you're going to hear. Many of you may not like it, but God have tell you what type of people that you can have sexual relationship with, the things that you're not supposed to do. You're not going to like it. However, God knows what He was doing, for He is the Creator. You should carry out my judicial decision, and you should keep my statute and walk on them. We remember in the book of Exodus, God gave His judicial laws. I am Jehovah your God. You must keep my statutes and my judicial decisions. Anyone who does so will live by means of them. I am Jehovah. No man among you should approach any of his close relatives to have sexual relations. I am Jehovah. Let's see. Let's repeat. No man among you should approach any of his close relatives to have sexual relations. I am Jehovah. Keep going. Your people are not going to be happy, but it is written right here. That's why you don't read your Bible, because you don't want to know what you're not supposed to do. Verse 7. You must not have sexual relation with your father. You must not have sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. And you must not have sexual relationship with her. It's written in the Bible. So when people are saying, ew, what? It's written in the Bible. You must not have sexual relations with your father's wife. So let's give you reference. Leviticus 18. We are in verse 8. You must not have sexual relationship with your father's wife. It is exposing your father to shame. 9. You must not have sexual relations with your sister, either the daughter of your father or the daughter of your mother, whether she is born in the same household or born outside of it. Even if it's like half of your sister, that's why born in house, born out of the house. If it is your half sister, you're not supposed to be having sex with your half sister. Just because it's just your father's daughter, it's not your mother. You should not be doing so. That's what God is saying. It's written in the Bible. And as we know, the Bible has never been proven wrong. And God says it. Jesus says it when he come on earth. The heavens and the earth will pass, but my words will never pass. So it's right here. You must not have sexual relations with your daughter, with the daughter of your son, or the daughter of your daughter. That's your grandchildren, for crying out loud, because they are your own nakedness. They are your own nakedness. That's your child, your grandsons. You must not have sexual relations with the daughter of your father's wife. Oh my God, Lord. People, we do not read the Bible. If your father marries a woman who have a child before the marriage, you should not be sleeping with that. You must not have sexual relation with the daughter of your father's wife, the offspring of your father, because she is your sister in marriage. Mm-mm-mm. this this is so funny. Oh my God, you people have been doing so much detestable things in the eyes of God. You must not have sexual relation with your father's sister. That's your auntie. She is your father's blood relatives. You must not have sexual relations with your mother's sister. The same thing, because she is your mother's blood relatives. You must not expose your father's brother to shame by having sexual relation with his wife. She is your aunt. So if you are two, all right, so you must not expose your father's brother your father's brother, right? So you are a child, you have a father, the father has a brother, your father's brother is your uncle. Don't go and lay down with his wife. Mm. You must not have sexual relations with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife, and you must not have relations with her. People, they would not teach you those things. Why does the church not teach you those things? No, because they love to bathe in sin. You must not have sexual relations with your brother's wife because it is exposing your brother to shame. Nobody's going to teach you those things. That's why you need to read your Bible. You must not have sexual relations with a woman and her daughter. Whew, God, the story that I hear about this one, good Lord. Oh, God, have mercy. Oh, Lord, protect those little daughters who are being sexually harassed by the father-in-laws, by the stepdads, Father. Disgraceful situation. You must not take the daughter of your wife, of her sons, and the daughter of her daughter in order to have relations. They are her close relative. It is obscene act. You who pretend to be a pastor and go and put your hands on your wife's daughter, for she is not your child. The Lord will punish you for such a thing. You must not take a woman in addition to her sister as a rival wife. Uh-huh. And after that, I hear Shirley. Shirley's the one. Shirley and her mother did this. I wasn't there when you people were doing your nonsense, your disgraceful act. Do not take your wife's sister to make her sister your wife's rival and have sexual relations with her while her sister is alive. She's not dead. Do not lay down in bed with your sister-in-law, with your wife's sister, and then have the nerves to think you can blame other people for it. It is written so in here. I didn't say it. God says it. You must not approach a woman during a menstrual impurity to have sexual relations with her. You must not have sexual intercourse with the wife of your fellow man, making yourself unclean. That means he says, thou shalt not commit adultery. You must not allow any of your offspring to be offered to Molech. Molech is a satanic angel, a pagan god they used to honor in Egypt. You must not profane the name of your God in that way. I am Jehovah. Because it says you shall not honor other God but him. You must not lie down with a male in the same way you lie down with a woman. That's homosexuality. You must not lie down with a male in the same way you lie down with a woman. It is a detestable act. It says so in the Bible. So when a pastor is preaching it, don't tell the pastor that, well, we're living in a sensitive time. He should not speak against homosexuality because he's a pastor. He's supposed to preach the word of the Lord. Your sensitivity for not following this, nobody understands those things. But it is his right. He's the preach. He's supposed to preach. He's supposed to teach what he knows in the Bible. Do not stand against him. Do not detest the person who's doing their job. A man must not have sexual intercourse with an animal to become unclean by it, nor should a woman offer herself to an animal to have intercourse with it. It is a violation of what is natural. Violation, people. Violation of what is natural. And why will you be having sex with animal anyway? I hear people has this type of fetish with his yak. Do not make yourself unclean by any of these things, for it is by all these things that the nation that I am driving you out from before you have made themselves unclean. So Egypt made themselves unclean by doing those things. Therefore, the land is unclean, and I will bring punishment on it for its error, and the land will vomit its inhabitants out. I will punish. He's our father. Don't you punish your children when they misbehave? Well, then he got all the right to punish us when we are misbehaved, when we be naughty. But you yourself must keep my statutes and my judicial decisions. And you must not do any of these detestable things, whether a native or a foreigner who is residing among you. For all these detestable things were done by the men who lived in the land before you, and now the land is unclean. Then the land will not then the land will not have to vomit you out for defiling it in the same way that I will vomit out the nation that were before you. If anyone does any of these detestable things, all those doing them must be cut off. From among their people, you must keep your obligation to me by not practicing any of these detestable customs that were carried on before you, so that you do not make yourself unclean by them. I am Jehovah your God. People cannot follow God because God is a God of discipline. God doesn't prostitutes. God doesn't lay down in any type of things. You must be clean. He is holy. Leviticus 19. It's right there. You go with it alone. If you know that you are doing certain things that is not acceptable to the eyes of the Lord, it's not too late because you're still living, you're still breathing. You can still stop, correct yourself, and do what is pleasing to the eyes of God. Leviticus 19, verse 1. Jehovah spoke further to Moses, saying, Speak to the entire assembly of the Israelites and tell them, You should be holy because I, Jehovah your God, am holy. Each of you should respect his mother and his father, and you should keep my Sabbath. I am Jehovah your God. Do not turn to worthless God or make for yourselves God of cast metal. I am Jehovah your God. As God is holy, you are holy. And your holiness is defined by your actions, by your behaviors, by the things that you choose to do that is displeasing to God. Keep God's Sabbath day. Oh, it is displeasing to come to the truth of our time. As the Roman Catholic Church, I am Catholic, have changed this by their own hands and within their own law and changed the Sabbath day to Sunday. I decided I'm going to go to church on Saturday now, so I can keep the holy day holy. I don't, as God asked me to do. Leviticus 19, verse 5. Now, if you offer a communion or sacrifice to Jehovah, you should sacrifice it in such a way that you gain approval for yourselves. It should be eaten on the day of your sacrifice and on the next day, but what is left over until the third day should be burned in the fire. If through, if though any of it is eaten on the third day, it is an offensive thing that will not be accepted with approval. The one eating it will answer for his error because he has profaned a holy thing of Jehovah, and that person will be cut off from his people. When you reap the harvest of your land, you must not reap the edge of your field completely, and you must not pick up the gleaning of the harvest. Also, you must not gather the leftovers of your vineyard or pick up the scattered grape of your vineyard. You should leave them for the poor and foreign resident. I am Jehovah your God. This is something we all need to learn. We read about this. God told us, do not overflow our bucket, leftover for others. Those things we do not practice. As a matter of fact, we create things just so that we can steal, just so that we can make sure we take from those who doesn't have. And God says those things are detestable for him. You must not steal, you must not deceive, and you must not deal falsely with one another. You must not swear to a lie in my name, and thus profane the name of our God. I am Jehovah. You must not swear to a lie in my name. If you know somebody is lying about something and they call you to be witness, you know it's a lie, don't go and lie. Worst thing is you get called in court. The one thing they're going to do is give you a Bible and say, I swear, listen to God, do not do that. Don't keep silence. And God doesn't like wickedness either. You must not defraud your fellow men, and you must not rob. You shall not withhold the wages of a hired worker all night until morning. When you need to pay somebody, if you hire someone to do a work for you, pay them as you should. You must not curse a deaf man or put an obstacle before a blind man. And you must not be in and you must be in fear of God. I am Jehovah. So if a man is blind, they're talking about the blind person. You must fear. Fearing God means obeying him. My children, I've said that before. My children asked me about this before. Why should we fear God? I had told them that means fearing God means you obey him. By obeying him, you show fear to God, you show respect to God. The same way as human, you have a mother that's human, a father that is human, that represents you, that raise you, that should raise you by these laws in the face of God. You do respect them, right? That's the same thing. You show respect to God. When you don't respect God, you show that you have no fear, no respect, no obedience. Well, whatever happens to you, and then you cannot come and claim that God should not punish. And he's a God of punish. Why is he punished? He also has plenty of mercy. You must not be unjust in your judgment. You must not show partiality to the poor or show preference to the rich. Oh, well, we all know this is the number one thing that people do. If you don't have as much as they do, they trash you. They make sure they trump over you. If you have money, you have preference. It's all over America, everywhere in the world. And it says it right here. You must not be unjust. You must not show partial. Be halfway. We do that so much, so much. It is actually is very disgusting, to tell you the truth. The person who has money is finding ways There's no court today. If you have money to pay a lawyer, you don't have money. I've gone through it. Nobody listens to you because you're the poor one. And they would go and give the one who has money. There's no justice. And it says it, Leviticus 19, verse 15. And we are saying that we're not living in this terrible time. We've been living in it, and it's just getting even worse day by day. You must not go around spreading slander among your people. You must not stand up against the life of your fellow man. I am Jehovah. You must not hate your brother in your heart. You should be all mean reproof your fellow man, so that you will not bear sin along with him. You need to do those things. It's written right here. You must not take vengeance nor hold grudge against the son of your people, and you must love your fellow man as yourself. I am Jehovah. This part right there in this verse, it is very intriguing to me how human beings always go back to this. You must love your brother as yourself. But when it comes to everything else that it says before this, nobody respects God when it comes to that. They do whatever they want to other people. They lie, they go to court, they lie about you. God says all these things. That God tells you not to sleep with people that you're not supposed to sleep with. Verse 18 in Leviticus 18 and all these things. Nobody take responsibility. Nobody follow the law of God. And then when they get caught doing the cunning and detestable thing, the first thing they look at you in the face and says, "Oh Jesus, God says, love me as you love yourself." What happened to having dignifying dignity and following the word of Christ? Why is after you got caught, you're asking to be loved? Think of it. It's right there. We're supposed to apply those things before we demand love from other people. You should keep my statute. You must not interbreed two sorts of your domestic animals. You must not sow your field with two sorts of seed, and you must not wear a garment made with two sorts of thread mixed together. Well, that we already know agriculture has been doing it. And God told us we should not have done it. We should not breed the plants. Dogs are being bred every day. The plants are bred every day. We don't even know what we're eating anymore. Diseases is ravaging. That's why God says we shouldn't have done it. And now we are literally in trouble. Now, if a man lie down with a woman and has intercourse with her, and she is a servant who is designated for another man, but she has not been redeemed or given her freedom, there should be a punishment. However, they should not be put to death, for she is not yet set free. Well, I'm not going to comment about that because people don't listen, they do whatever they want. But God tells you right here, if the woman is not yours, don't go and put your hands on it. Don't go and disrespect the woman's value. She's not yours. She was set to marry somebody else. Stay away from her. There is punishment into this. So, what is your punishment? He should bring his guilt offering to Jehovah to the entrance of the tent of the meeting, a ram of guilt offering. The priest will make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before Jehovah for the sin that he has committed, and he will be forgiven for the sin that he committed. And here we go. You find forgiveness in the eyes of God. God give you ways. He told you not to do it. Just try your best. When you come into the land and you plant any tree for food, you must consider it fruit, age, impure, and forbidden. For 3 years it will be forbidden to you. It must not be eaten. So, wow. So if you plant a fruit, you cannot eat it for 3 years. But in the fourth year, All its fruit will be holy for rejoicing before Jehovah. Then in the 5th year, you may eat its fruits in order to add its produce to your harvest. I am Jehovah your God. You must not eat nothing containing blood. You must not look for omens or practice magic. Must not eat nothing containing blood. We already went through this because God says the blood is life. Any flesh, blood contain its life. That's why it says, do not eat it. Do not practice magic. You must not shave the hair of the side of your head or disfigure the edges of your beard. You must not make cuts on your flesh for a dead person, and you must not make tattoo markings on yourself. I am Jehovah. Oh my God. Wow. Haircuts, tattoos. Well, that's why Jesus died for us on the cross, isn't it? Do not dishonor your daughter by making her a prostitute, so that the land may not commit prostitution and be filled with loose morals. You must keep my Sabbath, and you must show reverence for my sanctuary. I am Jehovah. Do not turn to the spirit median. The spirit median is talking about the spiritual median, or the people who, the sorcerers that talk to the dead. And do not consult with fortune tellers so as to become unclean by them. I am Jehovah your God. Don't go and say, I'm going to awaken the dead people. It's not appropriate. Before gray hair, you should rise up, and you must show honor to an older man, and you must be in fear of your God. I am Jehovah. If a foreigner resides with you in your land, you must not mistreat him. The foreigner who resides with you should become to you like a native among you, and you must love him as yourself, for you were foreign resident in the land of Egypt. I am Jehovah your God. You must not use dishonest standards and measure length, weight, or volume. You should use accurate scale, accurate weight, an accurate dry measure, and accurate liquid measure. I am Jehovah your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. So you must keep all my statutes and all my judicial decisions, and you must follow them. I am Jehovah your God. So we're going to finish here today in Leviticus 19 and 20, and we'll continue with 20 on and after. So people who are merchant, who sell things, God is telling you, don't be deceiving. If you're going to sell something, 1 cup must be 1 cup. 1 yard of fabric should be 1 yard. Do not be deceiving. It is hard, isn't it, to follow God? That's why there's so many rebels. They decide to do everything that is displeasing. For he is your father, he is your creator, he creates you for him, so he is your father. Therefore, a little bit of respect, minimum, for he doesn't even leave us with trapped with all this, with his law, even though he knows that you're going to sin, and he gives you ways to wash yourself. And as God see that, well, we saw that since in the book of Genesis 5, when God was going to Genesis 6, verse 5, it says, God see that the man's heart is wicked in every sense for all days. And even when he gives them all this law, when they were in the wilderness, He told them, don't cut images of animals to worship them. The moment that Moses went into the wilderness, the first thing they did, they wanted to go back to the life they had in Egypt, and they did the same thing. We keep on repeating those mistakes, the same things that we've been doing over and over and over again. We refuse to obey our Father. We refuse to at least work by a law. And these things that we're giving from time, those laws still apply. The thing that God, Jesus Christ, has come cut off is the offering for your sins. The law, for it says in Proverbs 8, I did not come to abolish the law, I come to fulfill it. The fulfillment of the law by Jesus Christ dying for you on the cross, his blood running, represent the sacrifices that you used to make with all those animals by taking their bloods and sprinkling it into the altar. God's blood, and his blood, his everlasting. Okay? The pure one, not even an animal, can represent what God did. So this part is you get the forgiveness straight there. But Jesus also says you need to follow those laws. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Don't lie. Don't steal. Don't sleep with your family members, with your wife's sister, with your father's this. Don't do those things. They are detestable to the eyes of God. Don't sleep with your wife's daughter, because that's, as we live through time and we read these things, that's why I read the Bible from the beginning, so that we can see when we actually reach the end of the Bible, which is Revelation, then we would know why God told us not to do those things. We know how to apply them. Then we will know why exactly we are in the end of time. Because everything has instruction. Instruction were given to you and you're not listening. And now it also gives you what the consequences are about to come for all you have done. Many will die before the consequences, some will not. So at this time, we have read a nice portion together, the books of Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. We've learned a lot. We've learned about God asking us to obey Him. We learned about God teaching us what to do, how to behave with one another, what we should and should not do to one another, how we should behave sexually. And we also last week find out about God medicine. Okay, God telling us about infection. God told them what leprosy was going to do, the stages leprosy. He told them how to treat it, and also the precaution, the isolation, how the thing that they need to do. And also medicine give you that God tells you why he tells you not to commit adultery, which is it. If you're not in the medical things, you do not know that, you would not relate it to it. But I am. I know that this is a signs of things, vaginal discharge. God tells you if the man and the female has vaginal discharge, they are unclean. He did not call it gonorrhea or chlamydia or the STDs of today, but the doctors of today give it a name, and the things are there. So God was the first medical personnel, and he gave the priests, okay, the anchor to the priests. He give the knowledge to Moses to pass on to the priests so that he can treat those women. And he tells you, if you are unclean, if you're a man and a woman, you know you are unclean, do not go and sleep with another woman. This is right there in the Bible. Many do not know it. We are the one who creates so many diseases. We create those diseases. The sexual, because God did not create you to be promiscuous. The more promiscuous you get, and back then those Canaanites were even having sex with animals between themselves. Yes, it is true. It is. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know, because you are there in the field, and God give us those things. God give us those things right here. If we read them, I've come to realize in everything that are coming out today, I'm like, okay, why didn't they teach us those things? Church has not teach us anything. They only tells you things that you should do just so that they can commend you and make you work like a robot. They did not read these things to you in the Bible. You have to learn them. So don't sit when you go to church, don't sit and leave it to the pastor to just do everything for you. With the Bible, get your own knowledge, and you get to know how to survive and what you need to do. And God says, if you obey me, my law is life. And it's true. It is true. You follow his law, his commandment, you will have a wonderful life. But we're not doing those things, and diseases are coming. Yes, it is, my sister. It is. Diseases are ravaging, things are going up and up and up, and we do not, and we're asking ourselves, how come those things are? Yes, sometimes to times we become knowledgeable, we use science to come up with other things, but that doesn't mean we are not at fault. Even those who have disease like diabetes, hypertension, stress level can cause you to have those things. And the way you eat, the things that you practice in your life, it's not the demons. We have to change. We have to find a way to shift the way that we live. Because God creates us and tells us to eat the things that are in the earth, the herbs. That's why those people were living so long. Go back to the book of Genesis and things that I found out that the animals that you're not supposed to eat in the sea. I went over it on my TikTok. Crabs, shrimps, those animals, they are waste management to the ocean, and we are eating them. And some of them, we eat them raw. And when you eat those things raw, you are literally taking the toxic things from the sea and you putting it inside your body. And there, you are destroying your own flesh. We are getting so stressed. The level of stress causes your blood pressure to rise. And the more work you give your heart to do, because your heart end up being to have to work so fast, faster than it should to pump the blood to get rid of it, then your heart keep on doing that for years over years over years. The muscle of the heart get hypertrophy, and then the little space that is supposed to keep the blood get so thin, then you get up having blood pressure and heart conditions. You eat those type of food that people have all these things on them, they create fat, they displace inside your little tiny blood vessel, and you get hypertension. And many of us, I'm Haitian, I was born in Haiti. I've seen people say, well, oh my God, he just boom and died. Whew, the neighbor eat them. But he actually had a stroke. It's a stroke that killed that person. It wasn't the neighbor. We have to educate ourselves. God knows that disease was going to happen because we do not listen. So as we listen, as we read and we learn the way that we should live, we try our best. I know it's tempting. The sweet things are very things that are not good for you. They are the most loving. The carbs, all these things, they tempt you, they bring you, they draw you in, and you keep and you keep going close. You cannot let go of them. I go to work in the hospital and I'm looking all my fellow nurses all driving into into the carbs, and tempting. It's very, very tempting. Very, very tempting. And we have to learn how things goes. Yes. And I know, I'm black, I'm Haitian. I know how my brothers and sisters back home does things, but there are things they don't know. There are things that they relate to the devil that's not really the devil. And the more that now Haiti is going away from agriculture, everything is brought from the outside. And the things that are now we are learning that's not good for us, they are the things they are bringing to them, and they are going. We have people back home that live 110, 109. I have doctors that goes to Haiti that comes out like, wow, because I go to your country, I changed the way I practice medicine, because these people, they are not in all those type of medication that we are prescribing in America. And unfortunately now Haiti is not practicing agriculture. They're just buying things. Everything is getting into one. We are adapting the world, the famous world way of living, and it's going to cause us a lot. And we are more into superficial things, things that give us more envy to eat things that we're not supposed to eat, and more disease, more diabetes. If you have diabetes, well, a lot of things is going to come after that. Plus, we're not living a good life. We're drinking water that not good for our body. We have to think about this. Although it is hard to change, and when we look into the food industry, they give me the responsibility to not buy it for our children. That's why I don't buy soda in my house. If I buy soda for them, it's like a luxury vacation day. My son is looking at me and laughing. Soda is like a vacation, a glorious vacation. It's like luxury. I do not buy it because I was watching this thing on YouTube. This guy is like, well, you the parent, you the one who buy it for them. Shame on you. I'm like, really? So shame on me. Well, I won't buy it. They don't find it, they drink water. I'm like, wow, look at that. They're drinking water. So if you put it on, then I buy fruits, I make them smoothie. They love smoothie. I give them luxurious smoothies every morning, every evening. I give them smoothie and they are happy. And they forget about soda. Hey, see? And who cares about the people who wants to make money? We try to do things the better way, and we will find a way with God. God teach us, and we can advance. So it's it's a great way to live. And if you have kids, if you have family, try to do it on your own. Cut down on your soda. Cut down into the carbs that you're eating. That will start slowly, little by little. You will start having going away. I did that in my house. Even the sugar, I tried to cut it down, and little by little, I cut it down, and they're living okay. My kids never used to drink water, it's only juice. I just don't buy it anymore. I started slowly, and then I just don't buy it. And now, if they behave for a very long time, then I'm like, okay, how about 1 cup of soda? Just do that. It's good for you. Then you don't have the rich person who's trying to make money off of you, blaming you for giving your children diabetes, for giving their children hypertension later on. Those diseases, they're putting it on you. And they know how to advertise, they know how to draw you in. So just think of it. We keep reading. I just keep reading the Bible to keep me grounded. The more I keep grounded, and I'm like the one person that try my best to obey the word of God, and I say, okay, if I obey the word of God, then I'll stay away from those things. I try my best to just obey this little book that's been here for a long, 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 long time, and try to change it's hard. It's not easy. It's very hard to go to work and see all those sweets on the table and I'm eating salad. I close my eyes and I do it anyway. I never touch one of those cookies. And I eat my salad and I walk out. I try my best. I try my best. It's so much. I mean, it's crazy. Because you if you put the discipline, you go through, you follow it. At one point, I don't even see them anymore. Even if the table is full with cookies in the hospital, I'm like, I don't even see it anymore because I said I'm not going to take it. That's not good for me. I'm not going to give myself any more of these things. So we're going to say a little prayer to our Lord. For he did tell us that he gave us, there's no temptation that he gives to us that we cannot overcome. That's the one thing that you have to put in your mind. For God says, you are my children. I create you to my image. Therefore, you have what God has because he breathes his breath unto you. He creates you the way that is imperfect. If you read by the biological and anatomical physiological buildup of a human being, you will know that there's no way you were not built by God. Because the way that you are made, the things that's going on inside your body, it's not little. You can't even find a way to comprehend the little particle, the little tiny creatures that are growing and working for you. So God is wonderful. God is marvelous. He is powerful. He said he creates you for his glory. He creates me for his glory. So let us look into his law. Let us live by his rules, and we'll have this wonderful life. And everything else will be surrounding us. If we focus on the love of God, we will succeed. With that, I say to you, brothers and sisters, have a wonderful weekend. It was nice seeing you. And thank you for passing by. Hi. Well, I will come back. You know, I usually work nights, Jamie. But when I work in the afternoon, you're not there. All right. Thank you for passing by, guys. Thank you. And remember coming back next week so we can keep reading the Bible together, learning to live the good life of God.